So once you have your marking gauge, or if you have your using the mortise gauge set, we're ready to get into action of using this here. So it's tricky enough to start off with, but if we break it down, it becomes simple enough. So I'll leave my marking gauge with the point of the spur facing down. I take my thumb and forefinger and catch the stock. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my 2 fingers behind the stem and then my little finger out the other side of that. So kind of hard enough to see that. So again, pick it up with your forefinger and thumb. Put these 2 fingers on the stem and the little finger goes behind the stem. And we can practice this before we get into it by just placing it up against the edge of the vise without putting the spur down to it. And we're marking onto the edge, remember. It's not the face. So we want to mark the edge. So I slide it up and down along here, keeping the stock tight to the side. So I'm going to be marking from the face side. I must make sure that I'm marking from my reference point. So what I'm going to do here is, I might have to adjust my camera a little, take it back a little. So you can see the vices here. I'm going to open it out a little bit, because what that's going to do is going to allow me to pass my hand down past the vise so as I don't get hit up against it if I want. Oh, sorry, I don't even need that, sorry. I can close it up, it doesn't make any difference because we're not going out to the end, but it's going to allow me to be able to move these up and down here. That's quite difficult to see there now on the video, but what's happening is I'm sliding that along here. So again, I might need to make another adjustment here. We go back this way. So I'm going to prop this in against the edge of the vise. There's a lip on the edge of the vise. See, we can see that. So a lip on the edge of the vise. I've got my gauge now, holding it tight to the side. What I'm going to do is hold it up to the first line that I want to mark here, and I'm going to track the line. I'm going to keep it to the face side here, go down to the other line down at the bottom here, the second last line, and I'm going to put a track on that as well. And that should be working out, that should be coming in at the middle there. You can probably see it on the video there now, that's the mark there. Then what I want to do is sliding that along the side, keeping it tight to the edge. I'm cradling the piece in my hand here so as it's not in the way of the gauge getting down past it, and I slide it down. And you can hear it stop, and that's a line drawn parallel to the edge. Not going to do anything else with it yet. Another little thing when we're doing this is, if you go square in with that spur, it's going to be like a nail, it's going to get stuck in the wood, and if you don't put it down enough, it's not going to make a mark. So I want to slide it along. I'm going to pencil it now. Now, no magic at all. I'm just going to take the piece and flip it over, and you can still see him pointing towards the face side, and I'm marking down onto the edge. So again, track the line, slide the gauge down along it, track the line, slide it down along it. Where do we want the line? We want the line in this middle section, not here or here, just the middle section. So now I have my piece gauged, and this is incredibly important now. Whatever I take out of one side, I must leave on the other. So it's a good rule for when you're making any kind of joint. So if I decide to take the top out of piece A, it means the bottom must come out of piece B. So I'll just go around to that and put on my few X's. I'm going to do the edge. Now, don't make a mistake of marking X's in the wrong one. And the beauty of using the gauge from the face side is that if I happen to be a little bit lower down this side, it would match up the other side. So if I ended up coming down to here, it would actually allow the waist to be smaller. So no matter what, when I go to join the two pieces together, the two of them would match up perfectly. A common mistake that's made in this here is not to mark the lines in the middle. Another common mistake is then that once the gauge is set and marking from the face side, people flip it around and mark it from the wrong side. So you must make sure that the stock, this part of the gauge, is working from the face side, and you're marking onto the face edge. You can see You can see that there's onto the face edge there and onto the face edge there, and use it along with the vise. And that is a setup there now on our marking out. There's one other little piece of marking out that we can do, but we can do it on the fly when we start to cut out the piece.